All right, cool. Listen. Listen. I'm ready to tussle. Okay. I'm seeing comments on the last video that I did. I ain't like it. Okay. All right. I'm ready to tussle. All right. Okay. I'm ready to tussle. Okay. I did a video about a couple, YouTube favorite couple, whatever, right? Only Jess. And I had people in the chat, coming at me left, right, and center talking about God and Jesus, and God wants, didn't want me talking about them, all this nonsense, telling me about the fact I've changed, and my content is now all sensationalized. The kid was 15. I'm ready to tussle. What do you want? The kid was 15. If you're ready to tussle, let's go. I'm ready to go today. I'm ready for you. Okay, I'm ready to go for you today. We're gonna talk about some real stuff today, because y'all be glossing some stuff up. You know who you are. The rest of you know we weren't having it. All right, me and the crew, we weren't having it. But the rest of y'all, some of y'all know. You come on this channel and you want to talk beef and talk this nonsense you're talking about. The kid was 15. How about we this out there? How about we this that day? The kid was 15. Okay, and the girl was 21. Right, when they were friends. Okay, and I'm gonna have a real conversation, because I'm not in the mood anymore. I'm not in the mood. I went outside and I said, "Are you all right?" No, I was actually trying to keep away from even talking about the relationship badly and just talking about a certain thing. But people want to test my patience. Okay, let's go. No, you want to go? You're gonna get it, okay? This is the iPhone energy that you wanted from me. You wanted the iPhone energy. See, when I was Android, I was calm. But now I'm iPhone, you're gonna get the iPhone energy. Okay? All right, let's talk about it. Okay? Because first and foremost, I want to say this first and foremost. What do I mean by Jesus gloss? What Jesus gloss is, Jesus gloss just means literally that you start painting over something with the Jesus label, and suddenly it becomes sanctified and holy. Right? Because someone's put a Jesus label on it, suddenly it's become sanctified and holy, no matter what it is. And the reality of the situation is, we have to be honest. Certain things are good, they're not God. And let's just keep it a buck, let's keep it real. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. So for me personally, when I look at certain situations and people start throwing Jesus on it, I'm looking at going, Jesus, did you say anything? Because they're throwing your name on this stuff, bro. And I've been there, so I know exactly what I'm talking about, right? A lot of us have been in a space where we've over-spiritualized certain things in relationships, right? We paint the Jesus gloss on, and we get excited saying, God told me, God wanted me to be the one for you. God gave me a dream, and it was definitely you. And I'm never going to say, by all means, I'm the last person to say that dreams aren't real, visions aren't real, hearing the voice of God isn't real. These are all real things, and God speaks to us in this modern day and age in that way. Okay? All right? I promise you now, God can speak to you in a voice, a dream, a vision, through friends, through a sermon, through me, through the audience, through a signpost on all. God can talk in so many different ways. So many different ways. So when I say Jesus gloss, I'm not trying to negate that there isn't God isn't speaking this mundane age. God isn't orchestrating relationships. God isn't involved in marriages. I'm not going to say that at all. He definitely is, 100%. But what I don't want to do is do a Jesus gloss on certain things and not call it out for what it actually is. This whole conversation has started because I did a video on only Jess and her situation, right? Only Jess and her boyfriend, actually, right? And listen, no beef. It wasn't even like a thing like I was doing a video like, oh my God, they need to break up. It was more like a case of, not my fault, but I came across this video, and as I was watching the video, they were saying some stuff that I was like, that's a bit wild. You get what I'm saying to you? I was watching the video, I was like, that's a bit wild. Okay? All right? So, since we want to start some warfare and we want to talk about power dynamics, let's start here. Because clearly I'm lying and I don't know what I'm reading and listening to. And I've only watched a few videos, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But since we want to go there to warfare, let's tussle. Okay? Yeah. No, today, let's go here. Let's just go slightly back. Let's listen to this.
Like in my mind had me very, very confused. And like that is in a sense like the start of how the next 2 years went.
Confusion. For me, horrible. horrible, really.
Let me start this first one because somebody said to me that I don't know what I'm talking about. They never were in a situationship. Did you hear what they just said? No. Because somebody were accusing me of being salacious with my examples, talking about the fact that they never had a situationship. But what did you just? Should I replay it? Let me replay it because maybe I was bugging. Let me go further back. Let me just go back. Maybe I was bugging. You know what I mean? And clearly. Okay, all right. Clearly, I ain't getting right. So let me go back and let me just play it. Okay, I got time today. I got time today because before I go out later on again, I got time today. So let's go.
No, you still care about me. That you still talk about me. That you still like me. You still love me.
First of all,
she reached out to me and said, like, it really touched my heart that you put me in that list.
did you know that we were broken up?
Yeah. At that point, yes.
You had a motive.
No,
Yeah,
there was no motive. I swear on everything. There's no, because at that point there had never been anything romantic about us. So at that point, it was all that was just in my head. That I thought that there was something there, and for you, it was like, I see you as a friend, but not like that. So there was no motive there, other than I think that'd be nice because of all the friendship that we had built up to that point.
Hey, shout out to Best Friends Day. It wasn't for you.
So then I was at a weird space in my mind because on one hand, because very soon after that, she told me all her feelings for me, and that was the first time she'd ever done that. And it was like one of those times when you had already let go, but then someone's telling you all you ever wanted, like before. So like that, like in my mind, had me very confused, and like that is in a sense like the start of how the next 2 years went.
Yeah, horrible.
Confusion.
Horrible for me. Horrible
for me too.
Basically, the next 2 years we had like a situationship. Basically, it was horrible. Really, everything that we told you guys not to do, we were doing.
I think for me, I didn't really know who I was, and I didn't really love myself. But I didn't know that yet. And I think you can't love someone else unless you love yourself, or you can't really love someone else truly unless you know yourself and like your identity. And if those two things are messed up, then your relationship's gonna be chaos. Our relationship's chaos.
It was chaos. Okay, it was like really, it was like toxic, but like, how do I say this? Jonathan, he's a great guy, okay? And whenever he did something bad, he would actually feel bad about it. But like, our relationship was a little kind of toxic. Like, he would always tell me he wanted to be with me, and he'd always tell me how much he loved me, but we couldn't be together. Like, he wouldn't ask me to be his girlfriend or whatever, but I kept trying to play the game and like try to do things to make him want me more and all this stuff. Because understand, the first 4 or 5 years, he's always, been coming after me, and he act like he don't remember this, but he told me like, you're gonna be my wife one day and blah, blah, blah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was saying all these things. And then as soon as I decided, yeah, hey, I like you. I really like you. I can't hold it anymore. This is what it is, blah, blah, blah. Then he's like, I don't really know. I don't really know about all that. Let's just kind of hang out and then send you on your merry way. And he would always be like, oh, thanks for being my best friend. I'm like, is that what best friends do? Because
I was the best.
He was a joke.
I own that. I own that. I own the best. To be fair to me, I was very, very young. And
okay, he was young.
I was like 20, 21.
When we started off, it was 20. We broke it off when he was 21.
And it was just like, I would do things, and then I didn't.
Hold on a minute, because someone tried to tell me they started at 22. Get the frick out of here. Get the frick out of here. Please, look, when I go and I research, when I do what I do, you get what I'm saying to you? Like, I don't just put out a video and be like, yeah, we're going to go mad. I'm going to research. I'm going to watch. These people did not start dating at 22. Do you hear the age? At 20, 20, 21. Baby, he was even before 20. Let's be honest. Let's be freaking honest. All right? He was before this. So what am I saying? I'm saying, did you hear what she said? She said they were on push, and it's both of them were on push and pull. Right? When he wanted her, she didn't really want him. Then when she wanted him, he didn't really want her. Yeah, I thought like we're probably swinging back again to the fact that when he, now he's got her, she's gonna pull away again. So when I said about dynamics, this is what I mean by dynamics, right? Because the reason why there's a push and pull oftentimes, right, is because in the beginning when he had a push, when he was pushing towards her, right, she pulled away. Whether that was because of his age, whether that's because she had someone else, whether that's because she wasn't fully sure if she can make this work because of his age, whatever it is, right? And then it flipped. To now where, okay, I'm gonna give you a chance. He's like, well, I'm gonna make her suffer. I'm gonna make her wait a little bit. Because, if I don't, you know, maybe I have to play the game a little bit to let her know that I'm a level. You get what I'm saying to you? Okay, right? So at that point, there's a push and pull that's happening. Hence why they end up in situationship. And when they were 20, when he was 20 doing a situationship, they had been dating before that. Come on. I'm not an idiot, bro. You know what I mean? She liked him since he was 17. You get what I'm saying to you? I didn't want to go there, but y'all wanted to put the Jesus gloss in it. So I'm not ripping off the Jesus gloss. Let's rip it off. Once again, I am not saying that they're in a bad relationship. I'm not saying that they should divorce. I'm not saying any of these things. What I'm saying is rip the Jesus gloss off this. Right? It's okay. It's okay. No one's saying they should get divorced. I haven't said it once. I'm not saying they shouldn't be together. I haven't said it once. I'm not saying that God isn't pleased with this marriage. I haven't said it once. What I'm talking about is real relationship issues. We have to be real and honest with ourselves, right? Because if my son come and told, let me be very freaking honest with you. If my son came and told me, Dad, you know, I'm 20, even if he said, you know, he's 20 and his girlfriend's 26, I'll look at him like, what are you doing with a 26-year-old? What are you doing with a 26-year-old? What do you know about 26-year-old? I'll be asking him some serious questions. Are you aware what you're getting yourself into? Do you get what I'm saying to you? Right? I would be asking serious questions if I'm a father. So it wouldn't be just, oh, I'm just so happy from the beginning. No, I would not be happy from the beginning. I'd be like, bro, a woman that has 6 years on you, has so much experience on you. We quote unquote use stereotypical language as saying that women tend to mature much faster than men. So 26 and 20, and she's, of course there's going to be some dynamics in that situation. I'm ready to tussle. Christians will make anything like seemingly perfect. And it's like, it doesn't have to be. Let's keep it real and have a real discussion about relationships. This isn't your convenient relationship. You know what I'm saying to you? We don't need to put the Jesus gloss on it. You know what I'm saying to you? So I wasn't saying anything. Okay? I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't saying even bad things. But I'm now gonna say, listen, you can't put Jesus gloss on this. No matter how much Christian needs it.
I don't really know how to deal with like I felt so guilty and felt like there was no way to escape, and then end up doing something else again. And so it was like again and again and again, and then it was just chaos. I feel like that's the best. So 2018, I remember Jess said, she told me, if this happens, I would have, like, if we keep doing this for much longer, then we're gonna have to break it off. Right? I'm
trying to break off something that's not even on.
No, we just have to call it. Like, it's just not working.
Like, we're not glorifying God. We're not together. We're hurting each other.
It's just not working out.
Yeah.
So she put a date on it. Like if it's not better by this time. So we blow past that date, like by 2 months.
Yeah.
And then I forget what happened, but I was like, enough's enough. I'm calling it.
Yeah, he did call it. I was like, excuse me.
Yeah, because I was like, this is just crazy. It was just too much. It was just too much at that point. We called it, and so in my head at that point, so I just thought it's a me and Jess problem. Me and Jess, like, I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie. What's that movie that we talked about?
Oh, Hancock.
Hancock.
I always do that.
If you ever see Hancock, it's like him and like the girl or like
his wife.
His wife. But every time they get close to each other,
they lose power.
They get weaker. It's chaos, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? Even though like this is what I always wanted, I feel like we're just not meant for each other because it's chaos. So then I started seeing somebody else, kind of. So we basically broke it off, and then we just kind of went our separate ways. I was the issue.
He was the problem the entire time. It wasn't me.
Well, yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was the problem.
I was the problem too, but
yeah, I just realized that. I think this goes so underrated that many people like bounce from relationship to relationship, and like the problem's always the other person. But like if the same problems keep popping up in every other person, then the problem might be might be yourself. And so I started therapy. I started, to really realize that I was running to relationships, and I was running to girls, to women, to fill that place inside of me that God is really supposed to fill. And it was just like I had this deep insecurity that I thought that I could, fill with other people. And it wasn't until I realized that it really put me in the position to love for real, or to have identity for real. So that relationship ended up not working out. You can pick up from there.
what really did happen then, actually. All right, we take a quick commercial break because for us to like, it's just the Hancock thing. Like we just came back together again, but it was so much easier this time because now I lived like 7 minutes away from him. I was like, enough. Stop calling me that, bro. Like, yeah, we're best friends, but like, I'm not gonna keep allowing you to just whatever. You can kiss me whatever you want. You're like, you bought me a beautiful Christmas gift. I'm like, what are we? What are we doing? So I was like, I told him, I was like, I'm like the queen of ultimatums, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't call it ultimatum. I'm a queen of like I'm a decision maker. So yeah, I texted him and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Enough. Like we had a great day, but I was like, enough. So I was like, either make me your girlfriend and we can continue living this great little friendship life. You can kiss me all you want, or we just end this here. Because
listen, Adrian, absolutely. See, I don't want to go there because y'all gonna make me go there. But you know, listen, T Mercy, you spotted it within a few seconds. I'm not saying that is again. I told you I hold a double standard, so I'm not even vexed that this happened. See, that's why I wasn't screaming from the hills like, "Oh my God, he's young! Oh my God, she should." I'm not even screaming that because me, I hold a double standard here. I'm a man, and as a young man, I would have thought this would have been okay. I'll be honest with you. I think I'm more grown than I thought I was. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I have to be fair and say, at least let me hold some of this, hold this aspect and understand that there is going to be some dynamic here, right? And T Mercy, you just literally, you picked up on it in a second or two. It's not that it's not that this couple shouldn't be together. It's not that this couple should be divorced. What I'm saying is there is a consequence. There's a consequence to this situation happening, right? There's a consequence to this happening. So this situation, the way it's formed, unfortunately, because it's formed in a way that he's been the young one wanting her from young, even the aspect what T Mercy has put in there, absolutely. Because when you was asking whose fault is it, you saw how she pointed towards him. It's actually the same way she was also dealing with him when it came to the airport situation. But you know what I mean? So again, I'm putting it in a I'm bringing some understanding here. Right? Bring some understanding here. There is a dynamic that's going to happen. So when you're in that rich relationship, yes, there will be some things that are going to come out that you might not necessarily, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm saying that now, is he in a better place to be able to step forward in that relationship? You get what I'm saying to you? I'm asking the question. I don't. That's why I said I'm not gonna jump all the way to conclusion. I'm saying, is he in the best position possible to be able to step forward? Is he in the best position forward to flourish as a man? Is he in that best position to be able to do it without thinking about, oh, I'm gonna hurt her feelings if I do this or do that? Is he in that best position? That's the question I'm asking. I don't know if he is gonna be in that best position right now. That's all. So yeah, when I question it, of course I'm questioning. I'm like, yo, they were young.
I hadn't been putting pressure on me before. You know, there was always that implicit, like inside pressure.
Yeah.
In my head, knowing that like that conversation was probably coming soon. So that.
So you're just milking it until.
No, I just didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just avoided it.
Well, don't be kissing me then, girls. Don't let nobody kiss you up, and he's not making it official. That's dead. We're not doing that anymore.
No, for real though. That's
real talk.
That's important.
You have to make that decision, and that was a constant thing in our relationship. You have to make that decision and be comfortable knowing that it may not work out the way you want it to, because it didn't for me right away. I was like, all right.
I think we're gonna really touch on that like greater theme a little bit.
Yeah.
I got that. Yeah. So I went to see my therapist, talked to some friends, and it was like, all right. I basically was asking them, am I in a position now where I'm healthy enough to enter into this relationship? Because when I went to first started therapy, I broke down to my parents, like in their room. It was very weird, like telling them that I hate myself. So like from there to like where I was now, like I'm like, has enough time passed where like I'm now healthy enough to really have a relationship? Like I knew that I liked her, and I probably wanted to be with her, but I didn't want to be doing the same thing that we were doing before, just under the title of. So I didn't know if I was healthy enough. Mm-hmm. But then, they're like, the people I talked to, like I could counsel, I'm like, let's do this. Like, it's gonna be okay. Just do it. So then we started dating.
Now, let me just say this. I'm going to have two perspectives. I really admire the maturity that he brings to the table. He really is you know, he really is a mature individual. I can see that in the video alone. Like the videos I've watched him, the way he articulates himself, the way he talks is very mature in that aspect. I'm gonna question them. I'm only questioning the just because he's wise in what he speaks doesn't necessarily mean he's wise in experience. And this is why you want to put some Jesus gloss in it? Let's put some Jesus gloss in it. Luke 2:52 says Jesus, right? Before this point in Luke 2:52, Jesus goes into the temple and starts preaching, right? And they say, who is this young boy that speaks with this authority, right? And who quotes the scripture? And his parents leave him and they're going somewhere and they realize they left Jesus behind. So they run back, go and grab Jesus, right? Okay, all right. So now they go and grab Jesus. And like, Jesus, what are you doing? He said, I have to be my father's house. I have to be my father's house. You know what I mean? And they're like, okay, but Mary, it says that Mary remembered the words that he had said. You know what I mean? Okay, so remember the word he said. But then we hear nothing again. He's 12 at this point. Of course, he's not 20, he's not 18, he's not 15. He's 12 at this point, right? And then it says in Luke 2:52, it got to a point where Jesus grew stature, right? And he grew in favor amongst men. What does that mean? When he got to 30, it was an age of maturity for him. Now, I'm not saying you have to marry at 30. What I'm saying is there is a period of time where there is a growth period for each individual person. And maybe his is a little bit earlier. That's fair. Maybe his is a little bit earlier than most young people's is. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not going to shirk that or try to take that away from him. I'm now saying that, okay, cool. But there is that period of time where you grow into a man. And in that period of time, and of course, we're in a modern day and age now, so we're slightly different to our biblical precedences. But in his time, I'm asking that question: did he have enough time to do what he had to do? I didn't even know he hated himself. That's a mad thing. And he was in therapy, and I respect the fact again he was in therapy as well. And I think more people need to be like, more men need to take his lead on that and get into therapy and actually begin to work on some of the issues that they have. So again, another mature move and a one that's wise. And I'm guessing he's getting really wise counsel as well, right? I'm just looking at the situation and going, so what would have been an advice of somebody knowing that she is 28 at the time, and he'd have been 22. You're 22, too young to handle. You know what I mean? That's the only question I'm asking. I'm asking that when they start, because also they were dating before that. There's already history there. But you get to 22 and you're looking at them in 22 and 28, and you're going to ask the question, are you not going to ask the question about the compatibility in terms of experience and in terms of maturity? You know what I mean? I would ask questions. Do you get what I'm saying to you? I would ask some questions. But I love his maturity. I won't lie to you.
December 27, 2019.
We started dating, and it was just good. It was good. I feel like we're great right now, and the dating, it was good. It was like a strong 7. Even though we were good, I knew that something was still off, and I brought that up like a good amount of times to him. I'm like, I feel like you're still holding back. Like you're not giving old Jonathan. And he always said like, oh, old Jonathan is dead. Like that was a young boy. But I was like, you used to just love me more. Like, yeah, I was a young boy, but like I felt like you used to just love me more. And now it's kind of just like we're finally here. And sometimes it's like, you know, better. Sometimes it was like a 7.9.
Now, what? I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it. But let's get into it. Okay, so the reason why I made some of the deductions, because when I did the video written, because it was cutting so much, I didn't want to bring the video in. So now we're bringing video editors. Somehow my internet's working. Maybe the little ones we talk about. Okay, cool. Jokes aside, right? Listen to what she said, and the reason why this is important again, because when I'm talking about dynamics, right? She was loving the dynamic of the past. What was the past? When he was a small boy and he was infatuated. That wasn't really love, it was infatuation. Because why? He was 15 when he had a crush on you. So let's talk about it, right? Because he was 15 when he had a crush on you. So what's happening now is, and remember I said this earlier on, that when things begin to shift and to change, how do people handle the change? Because the power slipped from my hands. You don't love me the same way you used to. No. You mean I don't puppy dog after you like I used to? Yeah, of course. I'm grown. I've experienced things. I've gone through things. I no longer put you on that pedestal. Do you get what I'm saying to you? I no longer put you on that pedestal.
But I'm like, something's wrong. So I remember we had that conversation a time or two, but 8 months in, and I had told him something like that. And then like after I told him something like that, he's like, we talk. Oh God, that doesn't sound good. I was like, wait, everything's fine. I didn't like that. I was like, wait, this doesn't sound good. So yeah, I mean, he came over and we broke up for a couple of days.
Yeah, because I was basically telling her that I do like her, and I do want to be with her, but there was just something inside of me that kind of felt like things were off, and I couldn't really put my finger on what it was. I just felt not 100% there. Like I had anxiety. That kind of experiencing anxiety all the time, like all the time, like and just about the relationship as well. Not really knowing why, not really understanding it, just knowing that I didn't feel all there. Like I didn't feel like I know because I remember one thing that my dad always told me is like when it's right, it feels right. And I'm like
it wasn't feeling right.
It wasn't feeling right. I knew I wanted her, like in my head. So a lot of times I was doing a lot of the actions of love, or I was trying to do the actions of love, but it wasn't coming from like a overwhelming flow of the in love feeling.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not gonna try and interpret everything that he just said. Let's take part of what he said as being true. He's going through things. He's going through anxiety. He's going through, young. Of course, at this age, I think he's now at this point. He's at like 22, about 21, 22, because 23, whatever how age he is at that point. Okay, right, and he's feeling anxiety. He's feeling all of this stuff. He's not sure about how to operate in that space. And the reason why is because it was before your time. Personally, this is my personal belief. And I'm not saying that's direct correlation to the anxiety, because that can be separate. You get what I'm saying to you? That can be separate. That can be completely separate, right? But I'm gonna say that, sometimes as Christians, you get this feeling. And let me tell you something. One of my girlfriends that I was close to, going to, my Lord told me, and not even just told me, I felt it. Don't marry. It's before it's time. Don't enter. But you know what I did? I put that voice in the back of my head and I said, let me keep going, because I've made my bed. Let me lie in it. I don't start something and not finish it. I'm going to finish it. You know what I mean? I've been with this girl for almost 2.5 years. I need to keep going. You know what I mean? I love this girl. I'm sure I do. So why not? So, do you get what I'm saying to you? And I always say this, when you turn around, you can't be vexed at anybody else but yourself, because you heard it. You heard the voice yourself. You heard the anxiousness yourself. You felt that something wasn't quite right, but you didn't want to listen. Now, he's talking about his inner feelings. He might generally just have anxiety alone. Right? He might just have his own anxiety separate from the relationship. So I want to honor that and say that could be the possibility too. And so I'm not going to take that away from him. But let me just slightly go back, just to,
all there. Like I didn't feel like, I know, because I remember one thing that my dad always told me is like, when it's right, it feels right. And I'm like,
it wasn't feeling right.
It wasn't feeling right. I knew I wanted her, like in my head. So a lot of times I was doing a lot of the actions of love, or I was trying to do the actions of love, but it wasn't coming from like a overwhelming flow of, the in love feeling.
Yeah.
But I know I wanted her.
I feel like women, like we know, and you can choose to ignore it, or you can address it and then deal with it. But like, I just felt it the whole time, but like I wanted to be with him so bad. And I was like, we worked so hard to finally get here. So I don't want to say I ignored it for 8 months, because we spoke about it every now and then. But like, there was that 8-month mark when I guess he had like a weird dream the night before. And then I brought it up that next morning and he was like, all right, like, let's talk about it. So he tells me that. I remember us sitting on my couch at my old apartment, and I'm like trying to get him to break up with me. I'm like, just say it, bro. Like,
but I didn't want to break up.
I know, I didn't want to, but I'm like, how am I supposed to carry on this relationship after you're telling me you're not like some?
My heart was full.
I was like, no. He's like, I don't want to break up, but I'm just not sure. I'm like, in my head, I was like, we've been dating for 8 months, but we have been knowing each other. I know you inside out for the past like 8 years. What is there more to know? Like, I know there's always gonna be more to know, but like at this point, there shouldn't be this much anxiety or this much confusion. So I was like, I can't do this. I can't. So I started bawling, and I remember you said it was funny.
Can you get a serious face? She was being serious. I was
trying.
They ran away. They like slammed the door.
I was trying so hard. I can't stand you. You hurt me.
We got back together after that.
It was like 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah. So and when the conversation that I had, they ran away. They like slammed the door.
I was trying so hard. I can't stand you. You hurt me.
We got back together after that.
It was like 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah. So
So the anxiety that he had, 3 or 4 days later, they're back together again. We actually haven't solved the issue. I know we sing, I may be young, but I'm ready to give you all my love. So tonight, I give it all away. Listen, I know we can sing that song, yeah? But if you listen carefully, it was 3 or 4 days after he had the anxiety, not sure what something's not quite right, but only 3 or 4 days. I know this pattern. I was living it myself. I know this pattern where you're afraid to be alone. And so you get back together again, get back. You break up, get back. You know what I mean? I remember one time before I got into a situation where I got cheated upon. Okay. I kind of said cheating, more deception. But anyway, I remember we broke up. She was like, I don't think we're working together. I feel like, I feel like, that, we're not the same. Right. And I feel like, and I was like, wait, why? Have we spoke to family or something? What's going on? And I was trying to find all the reasons, like, no, don't break up. Why are we breaking up? I did not know. I didn't know that he would favor me this way. Like I didn't know that was my time to get out. I didn't realize it was my time to get out, but I was so committed to wanting to be in this relationship, even though I had been told from before, get out of that situation. I had dreams telling me, Kojo, leave the relationship. I had dreams telling me, tell her to go away and you go and spend. I was having all of that, but I didn't want to stop. Because I had my own insecurities. I had my own inadequacies. I had my own pain. I had my own issues that I was dealing with that I wanted to hold on to. So tonight, yeah, I give it all away. We like to party. Yeah, I'm saying.
And when the conversation that I had, when I brought to her, I was like, to be honest, I do know I'll be with you. But what I can't tell you that I'm sure of is that if I want to, that I know if I want to marry you, or you, and I want to keep, figure it out. So then I asked her, I'm like, that's all I can offer you right now. Like, I'm not going to feed you lies on like my emotional status. Men, you got to zoom in on me. Never lie. Always tell the truth. Even if the truth is hard, I feel like telling the truth is always better because it gives the other person, it's more fair to the other person, it's fair to yourself.
I will also say, unfortunately, a lot of times, men, if you do tell the truth, there's a good chance she's probably going to still stay because she thinks she can cheat your mind. So
I mean, but that's not on you. That's the
I'm saying that, and it's not on you. So you're probably going to win. And I was like, okay, fine. Let's just see where it goes. Yeah, we're like, it's going to be fine. We're going to figure it out. And even after we got back together, it was not fine. We didn't figure it out because 5 months later, we were right back in the same spot.
Yeah. So five months later, Jess was like, I need to talk to you. And we were like getting up in the same spot, having the same conversation. So, but it's just more serious now because we've been dating longer. And like I think at that portion of our relationship, like after the midpoint, it got better. Like for me, I think it moved up to like an 8, but it still wasn't I mean, it was the same for her. I don't know. But I think it got a little better, but it still wasn't, you know, we both knew that something was off. Like I had still having anxiety all the time. Not just about relationships in general, but that too.
Sorry. So he actually had anxiety about the relationship as well. He said not just about anxiety about the relationship. So there was anxiety around this relationship in general too as well. I mean, look, we can put all the Jesus gloss we want on it. To this teenage love affair. You know what I mean? We can put all the Jesus gloss on it all we want, but there are markings here. And I'm just saying, listen, I pray they have wise people in their corners because they're going to need help. You know what I'm saying? It's just, this is what it is. Like that first year, 2 year, 3 year, where you're excited about marriage, brilliant. But after that goes, real work starts. We all know this, right? We hear from couples and married people, if you speak to them ever, the first few years is actually very dangerous as well. But you know, you're running on those adrenalines. So I get it, but I'm just saying in this instance, I hope they got good people around them so they can actually, you know, put their arms around them because there was already markings before this relationship started. There's already markings. You get what I'm saying to you? So I'm not saying they should break up, not saying they should divorce. I'm not saying that they're not good for each other. What I said was there's a dynamic and there needs to be a very careful adjustment and monitoring of how this dynamic is going to change.
I did, like you said, I did never get that time. Just me and God to like figure some stuff out. So like it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working 100%. So like the outside, it seemed like we were, you know, mostly fine.
Yeah.
So then we had this conversation.
Well, it was a God thing again because we had gotten to like a really heated argument. It was a Friday. We were having a good day. Went to go play tennis. We were having a good time, and then we got like something happened. And we got into like a really big argument, and I was like, "This is ridiculous." So I like went to Port St. Lucie for the weekend. Every time we like break up or get into an argument, I just go home to my parents. It's not healthy, but anyways. I went to Port St. Lucie and we didn't really talk that whole weekend. I was kind of over you. I was kind of snitching on him to his dad. Because, you know, his dad was our pastor. And I was snitching, okay? I was like, look, your son is this, and this. And would you date your son if you were me? And blah, blah. And I remember this Sunday, I was coming home and we were supposed to talk on Sunday. And
what am I hearing? Sorry. Let's just go. What's that?
Port St. Lucie for the weekend. Every time we like break up or get into an argument, I just go home to my parents. It's not healthy. But anyways, I went to Port St. Lucie and we didn't really talk that whole weekend. I was kind of over you. I was kind of snitching on him to his dad. Because, you know, his dad was our pastor. And I was snitching, okay? I was like, look, your son is this, and this. And would you date your son if you were me? And blah, blah. And I remember this Sunday.
He's a PK. He's a PK. He's a PK. Woo-wee! No wonder why there's anxiety. Yeah, I mean. But no wonder why there's anxiety. He's a PK. Being a PK is tough, yo. You know, being a PK is really, really tough. You are oftentimes trying to play this perfect role because, you know, any judgment can come from anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, you know, judgment can come from anywhere. You know, you get people, you know, always comment on you. You know, always saying stuff about you, whatever behavior you do, you're basically not free. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a struggle. Perfectionism is one of the biggest things I normally see with PK as well. So that's a heavy, you know what I mean? That's very, very heavy. So, and then as you heard it yourself, she said it herself, you know, yes, your whole entire life is under a microscope. So to then be on YouTube too, your life in them, oh man, that's a tough thing right there, you know. That is a tough thing right there. I can see why there was anxiety and why he wanted to go to therapy and, you know, solve some issues because there's a lot of things going on with him. I can understand that. I can truly understand that. And I can empathize with that as well. That is tough. You know, whew, baby, you know, you know what I'm saying? That's a lot right there. Yeah. All the saints and parishioners be on you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I was coming home and we were supposed to talk on Sunday. And I asked, like, for real, I was your daughter. I don't know if you know this, but I was like, if I was your daughter, would you, you know, tell me to give him another chance or like to keep dating him? He's like, honestly, Jess, no. I was like, well, there we are. I was like, this is not gonna work. So, you know, I went over his
I mean, you heard what I heard, so you know. Again, doesn't mean they're a bad relationship. It doesn't mean they're a bad relationship, but there's signs leading up to this situation. Okay. All right. There are signs that are telling you that this may not be the best course of action. And look at his facial expression as she's talking about the situation. He's scratching, he's looking away. He does look at, you know what I mean?
house, he was acting real like happy and like he was kind of in a good mood, but I was like, he must not know because we about to break up for real. Like, I'm done. Because I was like, I'm just gonna ask him one question. I don't care about any of the other stuff. I'm just gonna ask him one question. If I don't get the answer that I want, I'm leaving.
She asked me, I'm trying to figure out, because we both have different recollections of what she said.
We do.
But in my head, what I believe to be said, it was, are you going to, like, basically, are you going to marry me? That's what I believe she asked. And I think the two different things that we heard is also divine orchestration. If I heard what she believes that she's saying, then I would have answered the question differently, and we might not be where we are right now. So I heard, like, are you going to get married to me? That's basically what I understood the question to be. And the answer was, I don't know.
I'm like, you're
So
still gonna be, I don't know.
So it's basically like, I mean, could I see it? Yeah. But do I know for sure that we're going to end up getting married at the end of this? No, I don't know for sure.
So 7 months after our last breakup, I was like, I asked him, I said, can you see yourself marrying me in the future? That's what I heard. That's what came out of my mouth. He didn't hear that. He said, I don't know. I'm like, okay, now we've been together for a year.
What's the divine orchestration here? The question is still bad because the answer is still bad. What's the divine? Do you see what I'm saying about when I'm talking about Jesus gloss? What is the divine orchestration about hearing the question in two different ways? She said her question was, could you see yourself marrying me? He said, I don't know. The question he thought he heard was, are you going to marry me? I don't know. Where is the divine orchestration? This is what I'm saying about putting Jesus gloss on stuff. It's not, what's the divine orchestration? What is the divine orchestration here? Look, I've been there, so I know what I'm talking about. I've done that where I've made everything spiritual and like God is saying this, God is saying that, God is saying this. And what God is really trying to get me to understand is I'm trying to impute my wisdom into you. I want you to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. It does not mean stand away from me. It does not mean stand without me. It means also I want you to come to a place of wisdom. Learn how to use the wisdom I've given you. If I'm really leading you, learn to move with the physical and move with the spiritual. You cannot ignore what you're seeing in front of you. Let me tell you something, right? I remember at one point when I was dating a certain girl, right? I was praying about it, bruv. Yeah. And what I was seeing in the physical was telling me, leave the girl alone. What I was feeling, it wasn't spiritual. I thought it was. What I was feeling in myself, and I was imputing it onto my spiritual, doing what Ezekiel 13 talks about, right? I was imputing my feelings onto the spiritual and saying, well, I believe that God is calling me to do it right there. Hey, if you don't open your eyes and see what you're seeing right now, you can see what is happening. I'm still trying to spiritualize it. I wanted to win for God so much that I began to impute my feelings onto the spiritual. I didn't need to be in that place. Now, a lot of what God said came to pass. In fact, not a lot. Everything that he said came to pass, but it wasn't in the past the way that I thought it was. See, I had my own intention. You know what I mean? I had my own intention. I had my own thoughts. You know what I mean? I had my own idea. I had pictured this great testimony of how me and her had gone through certain battles and stuff like that. And then we'll come back together and we'll preach to the nations and tell people about relationships. Shoot, I thought I'll be back. I thought I'll be here right now giving you guys relationship talks with my girlfriend, with my wife next to me. And we'll be talking about, hey, guys, we've been there before. We can help you. You know, I thought I'll be sitting here right now with the wife situation a couple of years ago. But that wasn't the reality. I was wanting it so badly. I was refusing to really hear what God is really saying to me. You understand what I'm saying to you? What God was really telling me and what he was really actually showing me. God was showing me, listen, this happened, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, right? And how I interpreted it was, well, the girl will come back, will fall in love. But he never gave that part of the story. He said she'll come back. That's it. But I was like, oh, you know, she gonna come back. We're gonna make it this, da. And what God was really showing me was, I'm trying to grow you up, son. Because there are things that you haven't experienced as a boy to a man that you need to be able to experience to be able to give the advice you said you're going to give. Where I'm calling you to. Now, not everything that I ever did in my life was godly. Some of it was good. It was not godly. Meaning it was my own idea. And so making that distinction. So when we put that Jesus gloss on it, like, you know, this question that the question that they both spoke about, there's nothing that is good about that answer that he gave. There's nothing. Him saying, I don't know, it's not a great answer. And him saying, I don't know, whichever one question it is, whether you want to have the relationship or not. Hey, well, sometimes we put some gloss on some things, you know. We'll put some gloss on some things, you know.
3 months, know each other. It's like 8 years at a time. I'm like, and you still don't know? I'm like, this is ridiculous. No, I said, I'm out of it, bro. I can't. We were like both crying this time. It wasn't just me. We were like both crying. But I was really upset though. Because I was like, this is dumb. Like, this is whack. I'm not doing this. I was like, if you don't know by now, you're never going to know. So I was like, oh, this is obviously done. But even still in my head, I was like, yeah, we're getting back together. But anyway.
She didn't say that. Yo, she's captain. She was like in devastation mode.
I was still devastated because I was like, what the heck, God? Like, you're not coming through. Like, you said something and you're not giving it to me like you said you were going to. Like, what are you doing up there? I was disappointed. Really annoyed.
Yeah, but y'all go and peep. She didn't release a video that entire like next like 6 weeks.
Yeah, I went on a hiatus for a good 6 weeks. I couldn't record. I was trying to, but my energy was so low and I cried for like 3 weeks straight. I was crying every day. I didn't know. It was tough.
For me, it was really like a lot of frustration with God. Cause it's like, she's who I wanted and she's like, this is what I wanted. And like, I feel like there was like a blockage in my spirit that I couldn't explain. That I couldn't like understand, couldn't explain, that like, it just wasn't all coming together inside for me. So it's like, I want to be sure. I want it to be her. I want it to be her. Like, and like, God, why won't you just like kind of unlock like that lock that you have in my heart? And then about 4 or 5, 6 weeks in for like a clinical rotation or something, I went to Atlanta. And this was kind of like my, my pilgrimage. Like, you know how Muslims do the pilgrimage to Mecca. This is like my time away, my time alone in the wilderness. During that time, I'd never been closer to God than like ever. Like, that was the closest I've ever been to God. Where like, I was going to mountaintops with just my Bible, no phone or anything. I was going to parks and just sitting there for hours in silence, just trying to hear God and seek him. And I think that time was divinely orchestrated. And that was.
Now, before he says anything, okay, I want to say something, right? I know what he's describing, right? That mountaintop he's talking about is that trip to the wilderness, right? Now, let me be fair with you, right? I remember one time, and if my siblings were ever here, they'll tell you, right? I remember I came home one day. I walked in with some brioche. Oh no! Oh my days! If I tell you some stories, I've done some things. I walked in with a bag of brioche, brioche rolls, and Schlur. We have like a sparkling wine juice, which is non-alcoholic because I don't drink. Sparkling wine juice, and I had a bread in my hand. Because I was suffering in this relationship. The relationship got to a point where we had broken up and we were on a break or whatever, and I was trying to figure things out, and I was praying to God and everything. I went, took my brioche and took my wine. I walked into the house, grabbed the coat or whatever, walked out, walked up the hill, walked to a park, sat on a bench, looked out onto the landscape, sat down, took the bread, and said, Lord, let me take communion with you. Yo, I was like, let me take communion with you, because right now, man needs to eat of the flesh and drink of the blood, because I need to understand what's going on in this relationship, that situation. Do you know why? Because I was so badly wanting this relationship. But it wasn't the relationship. You see, when I finally got out of the relationship, what I understood was my own inadequacies and my own insecurity and the brokenness within me was so desperate for love and so desperate to keep a hold of this love. I didn't even realize that I was suffering. The anxiety that I felt in the relationship. Do you know one time? Let me tell you something. What was happening at that time? Nah, let me tell you stories. See, if I'm telling you the story, you think I'm lying to you. Look, at the time when I had that girlfriend, Mina, obviously, you know, we were having sex before marriage. It is what it is. I was out here in the streets, okay? Mina was having sex before marriage. And I remember one time I walked into the shop and I fell to my knees. And I just felt this weight. And all I heard was, and listen to what I'm going to say to you, right? This is really important. Listen to what I'm going to say to you. It's really important. I fell to my knees. I grabbed my chest. I said, what's that pain? And I heard a voice, I will take you out the game, Kojo. I said, wait, what? I'm going to die? Oh, Lord, no. I know I shouldn't be having sex, but no, don't take me out of the game, Lord, please. Don't take me out of the game. I'm sorry. Like, I was begging and crying, right? Here's the thing. At that point, my theology on who God was of works, not of grace. Hear me very clearly. My theology on what God was, what Christ is, and the relationship we have with Christ was of works, not of grace. So my thought process was, if you sin, you die. If you sin, then you go to hell. Not knowing that theology promotes fear, nothing else but fear. If Christ has saved you, you're saved. No matter what you do. I know some people don't like that because, you know, they're like, oh, well, you're going to take advantage of God. Yeah. I hear you. We can discuss that another time, right? But that theology. So when I fell to my knee, I'm like, oh my God. Really and truly, it was my anxiety of guilt because my attachment to the theology was incorrect. So how I internalized and how I processed information was through that theology lens. What am I saying? I'm saying that sometimes the way that we look at life, our perspective on how we see it at that given time is the way we interpret certain information. Right? It distorts. Okay? It distorts the way that we're supposed to look at certain things. Right? So now I'm like, oh my God. You know? I'm like, oh my God, like, yo. I'm thinking to myself, rah, I'm going to die here today. You know what I mean? I didn't die in the end, so clearly I'm here. All right? But I had my own issues that I was dealing with within the relationship. But I always felt anxiety about the relationship because I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. The anxiety I was feeling, the anxiousness, the raised blood pressure or raised heart that I was having was because, really and truly, bro, I wasn't meant to be there. And I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. But because I wanted the love so much, because I coveted the love so much, because I didn't want to break up, because I didn't want to leave that person. I was like, she got the body, the face. I'm like, oh my God, she's chocolate. Oh, she's everything I want and I need. Why am I going to break it up for me? Like, why am I going to break it up? Right? But it's because I didn't know my own worth and I didn't have that great esteem. So I was clinging on. I was like, I'm saving all my love for you. I didn't think I can get anybody else. So if we have real conversation about what's really happening to you, you'll realize that a lot of the things you're thinking, listen, the perception is warped. So yeah, his anxiety hasn't gone anywhere because he wasn't supposed to be there. Or listen, let me not say that. That's premature. He knows what he knows. But there's some reason why he had anxiety about the relationship. There's a reason.
Something that I needed, if I didn't get, I would never be where I am now. But when my first weekend lands, by the time I got to Florida, I want to have an answer. Like I want to know what I'm going to do. So like, you know, I'm praying, God, please tell me what you want to tell me. Like give me an answer, yes or no. Like I prefer the yes, but I'll accept the no. So I remember the first week I went to the park and I was praying, and God, all I remember God telling me is that if you needed to know the answer by now, you have it. And then like you came on the trip looking for answers, but I'm gonna give you me instead. Mm-hmm. Which was very annoying to me because like, yeah, cool, whatever. But I need the answers because the trip ends in 3 more weeks at this point. Next time I'm climbing the mountains, like doing a hike, and I get to the top of the mountain and I'm like, look at serene, peaceful, beautiful. I'm like, this is the place where God's going to answer. You know, I want. Told me nothing. He told me nothing at all. He just gave me his presence. That's like, that was it. And this time I wasn't really talking to Jess. I wasn't really talking to Jess at all. At all. So then, like, it was like the last week I was in Atlanta. I was sleeping on the couch. I woke up and I just knew the answer. And I just knew, like, with peace in my heart, like, wash over my spirit, like, when it's right, it feels right kind of thing. Like that Jess is that I'm supposed to be with Jess. Can't explain it. Can't, you know, I expected it on the mountaintop. I expected it in the park. I expected it in so many other places, but like in the stillness, in the quiet, on the couch, you know, that's where God showed up for me and let me know, like, she's the one for you.
Okay.
No, not at all. No, you can fill some gaps too.
Yeah, so basically it was about, we broke up for like 11 weeks. Part of me still did feel like we were gonna get back together because I was still holding on to what I felt God tell me like 3 years prior. But like as time went on, that feeling was starting to fade and I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work. But even still, those 11 weeks, it was me and God. We was we were so close because I couldn't even get out of the couch because I was sleeping on the couch still. I couldn't even get up and I was like, God, I just need strength for today. Like I just need strength for like another hour, please.
They don't wait on the Lord.
Yeah.
Knew their strength.
Man. That song came out, that Wait on the Lord song came out while you were up there. And I was like, yo, that song was in the crib blasted. I was like, renewed. I was like, come on, Jesus.
On the Lord. Shall renew.
Yes. That song came out like perfect timing. Like I remember when it came out, I was like fixing something in my house and I was like, this song is for me right now.
No, that song came at the right time.
Right time. You know, like sometimes when you get a heartbreak, you're like, I'm never going to recover from this. I was like, this feels worse than getting hit by a bus. It really feels like that in the moment, but God was really there for me every second. Like he helped me. He literally gave me strength for the next second. Looking at pictures on your Instagram of you guys together and stuff, that's not going to do anything for you. So that's the only way I healed, by just like removing him from my mind, like out of sight, out of mind. You know, he's still in the back of my mind, but it wasn't taking as much of a toll on me as it would have if I was still like trying to be in his space.
Well, then when I came back home from Atlanta,
that day was rough.
I drove straight from Atlanta straight to Jess's house.
Like 11:30.
Yeah, 10 and a half hours, like however. But I drove 10 and a half hours straight from Atlanta to Jess's house, and on the way to her house, I made a playlist for her. Like I have a playlist series that I've been sending her from like the beginning, and I sent her the playlist, but I didn't say anything else. And she's like, ... what? And I said, open your door. And then I said I was at her door. And then I told her, you know, like all the stuff that happened while I was in Atlanta. And that, you know, basically that I wanted to be with her and I wanted to marry her. And then I gave her some dates. I was like, you know, I can see April, I can see May, I can see June. Yeah. And then, so it was kind of just like all of God thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I mean, you guys, that's pretty much it.
That is it. So yeah, that's really it. Then we just got back together. And ever since we got back together, it's been a 10 for me, honestly. Has it been a 10 for you? I feel like people think I'm like holding a gun to you, so like tell them it's a 10.
No, so that's I think I'll leave as the final takeaway. Unless you had another final takeaway. All right. So what I'm going to say is that before we start recording this video, Jess was like, you know, I wonder if people are going to think that I forced you, one, to get together in the first place, or two, to like marry her. And I want to say that that's not the case, or not how I felt. And just a message to girls and guys. I think so many of us settle, you know, for things that we don't want because it's good enough. Right. You know, that it's okay right now. Like things are fine. I don't want to be alone, so I'm not going to go do what I know I need or say what I want. There's beeping right there.
Oh, it's going to die soon. So wrap it up.
Okay, or necessarily say what I want, and I think that's just us staying stagnant. I think that we as people be so much better off if we said what we wanted, and if the other person couldn't meet that need, saying if that's okay, and God's still gonna take care of me, even if this relationship is over. Yeah. Because like the same God that brought that good situation or that good girl or that good job or whatever to you is never gonna stop giving you or bringing good things to you.
Yeah. If anything, if you make a decision to like break up, just know that God has something better in store for you, or something more fits. What you have now, if it's not working out, just know that this isn't the best that you're ever gonna get. I know a lot of girls are like, no one's ever gonna love me, or this is the best, like I don't wanna let him go. There's something better. God's not gonna leave you stranded. And you have to be comfortable and okay with being alone. You have to be okay with being alone. I feel like that's where you can make the best decisions. Yeah. Like, you know, don't be too dependent on anyone or anything besides God, because He's the only thing that's constant. Everything else is gonna change People are fickle, and it took us, we had a lot of fickle emotions throughout the past 2 years.
It took us being, like you said, being alone. It took us being alone for us to finally get to the place where we are now.
We wouldn't be here if we never broke up. We would not be getting married right now. No,
not at all.
No.
And if like the song says, if and the Bible says, if he dresses the lilies with beauty and splendor, how much more will he love and take care of you?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I'm gonna be alone. Like it's like I felt that the same feeling too. It's gonna be okay. God's gonna take care of you.
So the battery's gonna die. So thank you guys.
That's very true. Hey, listen, like I said, this is not to bash them, to get on their neck. It wasn't to, to break him or anything. Just more of a case of I'm just seeing stuff that I'm like, I'm just saying that I see, you know what I mean? So listen, I think, I'm gonna say, I think, they've reached a really great point in their, relationship. And I think what's key about it is, that they said that the Lord has said it. The Lord has said it. So we got to go along with it in a sense, right? I think though the key thing about this is, like I said, is it wasn't about saying that they weren't meant to be together. It wasn't about trying to say they should break up. It wasn't about you should divorce. This was solely about, are we looking at all the dynamics of what's happening at the current point in time? You know what I mean? So that was more about his so the Lord's messenger said no at first. Hey, you know what I mean? Listen, they said that, I mean, she asked the dad and said, would you, if I was your son, would you want me to marry? And he said no. So, and then he said no after again. So I don't know. I guess obviously after 11 weeks, it seemed to work. Now, there's a part 2. I just want to just play. There's a little part 2. They had a little part 2. I just want to play
on into this video. But first, we want to thank today's sponsor, which is JamesAllen.com, for sponsoring today's video. So my husband and I, we got our year and a half. He was my constant text me or your spouse. I'll leave all the information in the description box. In the beginning, I wanted to die. I'm just being honest. Every morning I woke up, I was crying. I couldn't get off the couch. I just didn't want to go out. I didn't want to answer my phone. Every single thing I did, I wanted to call Jonathan and tell him oh my gosh, guess what happened? Even though nothing was happening, I just wanted to call him because for a year and a half, he was my constant text me, wake up in the morning, text him. I'm bored, I text him, and I didn't have that anymore. So I just felt lost and I was really sad. So sometimes I woke up in the morning and I was so mad that God woke me up again. I'm like, what's the point? Why am I still here? What's the deal? Which is, it sounds bad, but I know.
What's the point of living?
I'll kill you. But I was really sad. How did you cope when God told you he was your husband? First of all, God told me Jonathan was my husband years ago, okay? And I will say you probably should not tell a man that God told you he was your husband because it will scare them if they haven't heard the same thing. Right?
Okay, so here's something that I learned, right? She's absolutely right. You shouldn't tell the person. Here's something I learned. Okay, let me tell you something as well. Okay. I remember God told me I would be in another city. And in my dream, when I saw that I was in another city, the city I'm in right now, I saw one of my girlfriends in the thing, right? And I remember we went to dinner. I was excited because at this point we weren't really talking because we had broken up and we were going our own separate ways. But I was excited because I said the Lord is telling me you're gonna be with me again. No matter how much you talk about it, right? So now I go into this conversation. We're talking at dinner, and I'm saying, and then it got to a point of conversation. I'm like, yo, I had a dream. I saw me and you in this particular city. Raka, 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 raka. Yeah. And I remember her face was like, ugh. and the scary thing for her was that most, if not all, my dreams seem to be coming true. I'm just gonna be honest with you. When I see it in a dream, it be coming to pass, right? So when I'm saying it now, she looking at me like, like, I'm like, yo, I'm like, listen, I told you, I'm willing to wait. I'm gonna be here for you. Like, trust me. I know the Lord, what the Lord is saying to me. Da 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 da. Well, all be now, I was wrong anyway. Well, I wasn't necessarily wrong. It wasn't how it looked like how I thought it should, right? How I interpreted what I saw was not what actually was meant to be happen, because I interpreted it through my feelings. The dream was real, what God had said was real, and it came to pass, just not the way that I wanted it to come to pass. So I end up in the city. She doesn't, we're not together still, blah, 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 blah. And I remember we had a conversation as well. Not even a conversation. I remember having a conversation with God. And as I was having a conversation with God, God told me, listen, that's manipulation, right? I'm looking like, nigga, what? Manipulation for what? Because I told her that I had a dream that you saw. I mean, I told her what? He said, listen, that's immature. It's not maturity. That's not spiritual maturity at all, because now you made her feel like she has no choice. And even I don't do that to you. I'm like, Nick, I'm not Negro. I'm like, God, how you going to do that to me? How you going to play me like that? How you going to play me like that and tell me I'm being manipulative? I literally passed the message on. The message wasn't for her. The message was for you. Right? I showed you. I didn't show her. I showed you. I'm like, how you gonna say I'm wrong? And I had to sit in it for a few days and think about it. And then I realized, it's manipulative. It is. Because especially if my dreams are like, we're not married, first of all. I wasn't married to her. So, especially me saying, I see us two in the future, me and you are gonna be together, blah, 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 blah. We're gonna move cities. Now she's thinking to herself, I don't even have if God said that, the same way it's very hard for us to question them when they say, well, God told her it's gonna be a husband. What am I? How can I challenge it? Well, how does a girl that you're not with, but you're kind of with, but not with, how does she challenge the fact you just said God just told you, which you're actually what I was actually saying? Even though I didn't say God told me, I just said I had a dream that God showed me. Me saying that is me telling you God told me. It's manipulative. And it's immature. And it's why Joseph got himself in trouble with his brothers, because it was immature of him to say about the dream when it hadn't come to its fruition. He should have waited, but he opened his mouth. Joseph was too fast and too quick because he wanted to show everybody else out. Listen, I got things. God's talking to me, brother. Y'all will be bowing to me. Yeah, you and dad. Right? Yapping his mouth off. Thinking, and so everyone always looks at the brothers as being evil. They were, but the reality of the situation, Joseph wasn't wise. But he got wise by the end. So yes, me telling you my dream, especially when I'm not married to you, yes, it's going to be manipulative in that aspect. And it comes with maturity. As you grow in Christ and as you grow as an individual and as you grow as a human being and you grow in that wisdom, you begin to learn that was not smart of me to say so. I had now been manipulative to her. You understand what I'm saying to you?
I thought it was weird that he was scared because he's the one who told me that God told me I was his wife.
I said that?
He did. He doesn't remember.
I said that God told you?
Yes. Or he told me, like, I know we're going to get married one day. You did say that.
I said that
and he said that before I ever even told him that.
I didn't even vote in the name of God.
Okay.
Let me be very honest with you. How many of us, when we're young in love, so those of us who are Christian, who have been in Christian households, been in Christian circles for a very long time, how many of you have used I'm gonna marry you one day, like God is gonna, because you're so excited and young, that God just comes out your mouth like, oh, I'm gonna marry you, you're the one that God has called me to love you. It's really just you. It's almost like saying you are the air I breathe. You know what I mean? Your holy presence living in me. No, I'm joking. But like it's easy as you saying, oh, when you're young and you're like, oh, I just love you. You're so infatuated. I just love you. I'm gonna marry you. You know what I mean? I said that when I was 17. At 17, I said the exact same thing. We're gonna have a baby. I even said at one point, we're even gonna have a baby. So what will happen if in 5 years' time I said, oh, I remember I told you I was gonna have a baby. When I was saying it, I didn't really understand what I was saying. I didn't really understand what I was fully saying. Like, we say a lot of things when we're young. you get what I'm saying to you? So we say a lot of things when we're young.
Maybe he didn't say I told you my wife, but he did say I know we're gonna get married one day, and that was before I even told him that I liked him. He was like 17, and I was like, "It's you thought."
Like,
and then yeah, whatever. And you don't flirt like that. You don't flirt until someone God told me I'm gonna marry you.
I didn't say God told me anything. Stop putting that in your mouth.
How do you feel during a breakup period?
Not good. It felt bad. You feel really sad. It kind of gets that. I mean, a very much lesser scale. It kind of feels like the feeling of losing a loved one, even though that person is still there. And I'm not saying this to belittle anyone's death of any loved one. We've all experienced that. There are some similar feelings. The feeling of it being kind of surreal. You get all those emotions, like especially in the beginning. And like any sort of grief, over time it gets more manageable.
I will say though, I feel like men and women break up differently because like the first week of our breakup, this is before I ended up blocking John.
Yes, she said that at 7. That she said that he said that at 17. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? You told me that people are telling me that they started dating at 22, but you're believing things that he said at 17. Come on, man. Come on. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like,
content on social media, but I was checking his stories. Like, he was out to brunch with the boys, and like he was out playing basketball with the boys and stuff, while I'm like in tears. Like,
until like before me just started dating, I don't think like I had many superficial friend relationships, but over the course of us dating and before that, I started forming really like good male connections where due to just emotional baggage, I only had like really close women friends and like not many really close guy friends. It was more superficial up until that. But I started building more guy friendships when we had the breakup. I was able to talk to my friends, and they were able to help lift me up and allow me to kind of get out of the cycle of being very internal. So I mean, I was still really sad. I was still going through it, but being able to go out with my my friends.
We never cheated on each other through our dating relationship, and so far in our marriage, there was no cheating. If there was cheating, we would not be married right now. I can guarantee you that. All right, how did y'all know you needed to get back together? Did God show you? Which I said, like, we went into much deeper detail in the first video about this entire thing, but it all just boils down to peace about it. But I think Jonathan can more so answer this question because I was the one who never wanted to break up, really.
Broke up with you, though.
I did, but only because. Yeah, adjust yourself. I only broke up with him because he was not sure still if he wanted to be with me. So I was like, I'm done. But I always knew, like, this is what I want. I'm set on this. I knew that from years ago when I prayed and fasted over it for 3 days, no food, no nothing. And I was positive that God told me that Jonathan was going to be my husband. I knew this. I think I knew this before we were even dating. So we're going on 3 years. We're going 3 years and 2 months. I knew this 3 years ago before we were even dating. Maybe 4 years ago. God showed me Jonathan was my husband. But God did not show him that. Not yet. So you can go ahead on that one because I've been new. How did you know that you needed to get back together?
Back together. Without peace, that wouldn't be fair to Jess, would be fair to myself. Mm-hmm. And I went to parks. I sat in silence for hours. I did all the things. And the main thing that God told me in that time was, you came here looking for answers, but I'm going to give you myself. Like, I'm going to give you what you need. And then if you needed the answer to the Jess thing, I would give it to you, but you don't need it yet, so I'm not giving you anything. Which was frustrating. But there was one day after going to the mountains and doing parks and XYZ, I went to sleep and took a nap on the couch. And then when I woke up, I just knew in like my heart that like the peace was like unleashed. It's like, I'm gonna marry Jess. Ever had in my life. If you're not hearing God or you're uncertain with what God's saying, make sure that you're living your life at a pace in which you can listen to what He needs to say to you.
All right, someone wants to know, what are the things you would leave your partner over? What would make you leave me?
What? I feel like this is a dating question because I'm not leaving Jess.
That's nice.
So I'm not gonna answer this as a marriage question.
Okay,
I think this is what they mean too.
Oh man.
Yeah. I accidentally clicked into the bottom of the page.
It's okay. Okay. As for dating, while we were dating, what would you have left me over besides not knowing?
Okay. No, I got you. Number one, first and foremost, biggest thing that would cause me to leave a relationship is if someone did not believe in Jesus as well. I love people get caught up. It's not like uncommon. It's not uncommon, but like it's one of those things like where it's really just not. It's not worth it because you're not relying on the most basic aspects of how you feel like you should structure life.
So someone asked if this is their first relationship. I would like to know, is their first relationship before the marriage? I believe it is so, yes, because he kind of dated other people, but it wasn't really long. But yeah, kind of dated other people, but it wasn't necessarily a long one. So You know, that's an aspect too. You know what I mean? They know they date other people. I mean, okay, they date. I mean, she dated someone else. I mean, did he really date anybody else, or did he have sex with other people? That was different. If I remember correctly, it wasn't that he was actually necessarily dating anyone else. It was more he was sucks with everybody else. That's slightly different. If I remember correctly, I may be wrong. I may have missed that properly, but if I remember correctly, in the very beginning of their relationship, from when he went to college, he kind of dated somebody. It wasn't very long. I know she kind of dated somebody. It didn't really work out too great either. It wasn't really. Let's be honest. They've majority of the time been spent with each other. Like whether it's on and off, they've been spent with each other. Like it hasn't been really anyone else really. You know what I mean? She kind of dated somebody for a little while, but yeah.
Especially with your kids. Out. Mm-hmm. Choose like I would leave over infidelity before marriage.
Now, any like form of disrespect, anything like that. Like if he's flirting with other girls in front of you, it might not call for automatic breakup, but like a stern conversation. But once you talk about something for real and they keep doing it, like a repeat offender, like
you gave me a good idea. I think the right question is reasons not to stay. Because I can list a trillion reasons on why to leave. It's like you shouldn't stay.
And my favorite one, I watched it. It was actually a sermon. It was from Transformation Church, but it wasn't Michael Todd. It was one of their guest speakers. Her name is Bree Davis. It's called "I'm Glad I Lost." And I listened to it like 4 times because it really got me. I think she helped me get through it. Basically, the first year of her marriage, God told her that she was going to marry this man years ago. She saved herself for marriage. The first year she got married, her husband cheated on her. And it just went through all the things that she went through during the season of like defeat. Like, God, you told me that I was going to marry this man. I saved myself. I did everything right. And this man did me this way. And she talks about how God repaired her faith in him to continue on in their marriage. And it just resonated so much with me. Not that I was like, God, like, I mean, it kind of was. Like, God, you told me this is my husband. Like, what's up? Like, we're doing things right and it's not working. Like, what's the deal? But it's called "I'm Glad I Lost" by Bree Davis.
I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? We've all been there where we've like, God, you told me this and this didn't happen. We've all been there. That's normal. We've all been there before as well. So, you know, no beef. This is no beef again. I don't think there's any more real I can squeeze out of this situation. But like I said, I wanted to bring this to the fold because, like I said, you know, I don't like people trying to say that, you know, man ain't done his research and I'm not being serious about it. You know, I'm a serious candidate when I talk about these things. I don't want to ever try to lie on someone or try to break people up. It's more of a case of like we can be honest about things. Some things are Jesus gloss. It's just that simple. You know, just some Jesus gloss. You know what I mean? That could also be a thing as well, Bizrock. I don't know if that's actually the case. I'm not sure. But that could also be a thing. I'm not sure that's actually the case, but that could be a thing too. You know what I mean? Like, and I've heard testimonies. I remember when I was in my breakout season, one guy told me this, and that's why I put a video about being addicted to painful testimonies. One guy was like, yo, he got married to his wife within the first year. I think first year or first 7 years. Something crazy. They didn't have sex. And so after then he found out she was cheating. I think it was first year. I can't remember. It might have been 7 actually. It was a long time. Then after that, she was cheating or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And he found out and he was going to quit the marriage. And then he went away for abroad or whatever. And some friend was speaking to him saying, listen, look, talk to your wife, go back, whatever. And he heard the Lord say to him, he should go back to his wife. And he forgave her. And they're back together. They've been married for how many decades now, right? I heard that testimony. When I was on my breakup, I heard that testimony. I said, oh, my days. Then what more? Then mine can't be that bad. I'm inspired. I'm inspired. I'm gone. You know, we all get inspiration from what other people. The key question is, what has God said to you? That's the key thing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that God hasn't said to them. Just saying what the key
reason I feel like we are in this position because I just whatever. So I didn't really have that much issues. My parents never had an issue. They've never brought up his age to me. My brothers never nobody's brought up your age to me ever, actually.
Not seriously.
No, yeah, not really. But not even like jokingly either.
Yeah, I get jokes.
No one ever said anything about the age to me, to my face, actually, at least. Probably behind my back.
No, just some jokes.
What?
Like, people that don't know you.
What they say?
nothing that's worth even talking about. It wasn't bad. There's nothing bad at all. No, nothing.
All right, so
You're telling me nobody said anything about the age? Nobody was like, hold on a minute. You know, he 22, you 28. Nobody was like, the age might be a problem here. Is that because he's past the sun? Because why does nobody had thought there would be a problem here? Like, I don't know any father would have been like, you know what, 22, 28. Son, have you thought about the age situation? Might be a little bit of an issue. Come on now. You telling me nobody had can't tell me nobody had a thought or whatever. Come on now. Someone would have said something. Some people would have said something.
this is a question that we get all the time. This girl said, my boyfriend and I have been abstaining. How did you guys ever get through? You just keep trying. If you fall, you talk about it, you figure out new ways. It's like you make boundaries. Say your boundary is, hey, we can't hang out past 9 p.m. And then like it works for a little bit, and then you realize right around 8:55 you start getting handsy because you realize it was time to go. Maybe you cut it a little earlier. All right, let's move it to 7. If it's, hey, we can only hang out in friend settings, like figure out where you're falling and turn it into a boundary. If you realize you can't hang, there was a lot of time where we were like, we can't hang out alone. Because that's when we realized we start getting a little frisky. Like we have to always be around people. And for a period of time, he was like, you can't come to my house unless my parents are home or unless my brother's home. Like it was really giving kindergarten, elementary. I hated it. I hated everything about it. But I think the biggest thing really is to like, one, figure out where you're falling and then make boundaries based on that. And to just keep trying, keep going. Like if you realize, okay, we were messing up a lot last week. It's like, all right, well, let's just keep messing up. Like, no, just keep swimming. Like, just keep trying. I will say during our period of abstinence, like, this is impossible. There's no, like, this is like in the first year of our marriage, of us dating. And I was like, bro, we're probably not gonna get married for another 3 years. Like, I was questioning God a lot. Like, why did you think this was a good, like, what were you thinking? Like, it's impossible. We can't make it through. Just keep trying. Keep trying.
One thing I would say, holiness over convenience. There were things that we did, and like 9 times it'd be fine, but we know that like every 10th time would be a mess up. Like you can like plan on every like X time being a mess up, and for things like that, we would just not do it, or we try at least our best not to do the thing that we knew that could be a trigger for a mess up. Like so, all the obvious things, try not to hang out too late, X, Y, and Z. But one thing that I wish we did do that we didn't do, which I think is so important, is like living in the light, having people that maybe it's a married couple that you already know, maybe it's another couple that you do know, that you're willing to live in the light around. That can keep you accountable. That's like that's like dedicated to keeping you, like, I mean that's not their job, but like dedicated to that. If you make a mistake, you feel like you have to open up to this person, because knowing that someone is going to keep you accountable is going to be night and day.
Yeah. So all those things. It's not just like a
Now y'all know when sex is involved, it's problematic. Listen, look, when you add sex onto everything we've spoken about, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? The advice is amazing. I'm just saying, when you add sex into it, I'm like, he's still a little bit mad. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I know the power of sex and what it does. I know how it can distort, change, evolve the picture than what it actually is. So if there was a little bit of sex that was going on, if there was a lot of sex going on, this could potentially enforce a decision. Like, yeah, we should. God, I feel so close to you. I'm just saying, not saying it actually is. So again, just pointing that out, that sex is a really powerful weapon, and when it's involved in this situation, yeah. Okay, so I think that's my final sentence. I think there's a little bit left, but I think they've pretty much done now. So I think that's it.
Situation up until when God gave you the peace, in which case it made sense. That statement, like it's like, oh, this is it. That's like a piece where it's like, oh, I can calmly say something like, hey, you can right. No, it's like, oh, I want to marry Jess.
Yeah.
Just do it, and like it felt right, and I think that's a good rule of thumb. I mean, obviously, the person should check like basic box boxes.
Mhm.
In general, it's a good rule of thumb. Like if you already checked all the other boxes.
So yeah, that's really it. To be honest, while we were dating, like yes, we were the ones for each other. The one, even though the one, that's a whole other something.
No
else.
such thing.
I don't want to say there's no such thing, but the saying is not necessarily the correct saying. Anyway, you know.
Interesting that they have different point of view. He said there's no such thing as the one. She believes that there is the one. So is he the one? Just wondering. You know what I mean? She said, like she said, she believes that you know there is the one. She don't want to say there isn't any such thing. He says there's no such. He was very adamant. There's no such thing as the one, and I agree with him. There's no such thing as the one. There is none. Get out of that thought process because that locks you into people that you don't need to be locked into. If there was the one, Eve and Adam have messed it up because the moment they fell from the garden, if anybody else has dated somebody who shouldn't have been dating, we're messed up now. You know what I mean? There is no such thing as the one. There is somebody who that maybe God ordained for you, or maybe there's some people that I believe that God has called to a particular level or particular job, and He may call their particular wife. But most of us are not in that exceptional rule. And even then, when you look at it biblically, what wife was actually chosen for that person? The type of wife was chosen, but never the wife itself. So I never saw the Bible where God says that is your wife, or literally that's literally your wife. What you actually see is people making decisions. Even Hosea, he said, go and find one of those prostitutes. He didn't say which one to choose.
We were, you know, the one. We'll just use that for right now. But if we were to get married at the time while we were confused, it would have been wrong. You know, it wouldn't have been wrong. Wouldn't have been right because we knew it wasn't right at the time. So I really feel like you just need to trust yourself and not. I stress this with so many women, like don't lie to yourself. I feel like female intuition is the right thing, or we can call it discernment. Like when you know something's wrong, like don't make excuses for it. Don't lie to yourself. Like, oh no, it's fine. Like that's not a big deal. Something I can deal with. And you know it's wrong. And you want it to be right so bad. If you have to ask yourself, like, oh, is this the one? Is this right? It's either not right now, or it's not right at all. So at the end of the day, the answer is just no at that time. So I feel like it's all about just not lying to yourself, really pressing into God to get His answer and that peace. Give God the space and time, like Jonathan said before, to actually speak to you. Like, don't just pray and expect your answer the next morning. It's like, oh, I didn't get the answer, so I'm gonna just continue on or whatever. Like, give Him the time.
I feel like a lot of us, you know, especially me around that time, we treat God like a spiritual.
Listen, so you know, I think we can bring that to an end now, as well. All right. So listen, hey, again, once more, I say again, I'm not asking for them to be broken up. Not saying they should break up. Not saying they should divorce. I'm talking solely about the dynamics of their relationship and the fact there was a power dynamic, I believe, in their age. Now, some people are saying that I want to put words in Jess's mouth. I mean, I interpret relationships, everyone the exact same way. Have you noticed how consistent I am? Did I do it with everyone? Oh, did I do it with Simone and Rashid? Oh, I did it with Simone and Rashid. Oh, do I do it with Ready to Love as well? I do it with Ready to Love as well. I'm very consistent with how I do it. I do it with everyone. What I don't like is people trying because they have their favorite couple or a favorite thing, trying to twist things. I do it with everybody. I'm very dedicated to trying to break something down. Whether you like them or not makes no difference to me. But if that's now impeding your objectivity of how I'm actually breaking it down, I got to ask you a question. Are you seeing it this way because you like the couple? I have no tie to this couple. My simple thing is simply that I saw something that was a bit mad. You know what I'm saying to you? That is, and I hear you anyway. He may look more mature than some 40-year-old dudes. But if a man was to ever say that this girl is more mature than some 40-year-old women, what would you say? You'd not look at it that way. You would not look at it that way. You know, when we and I think that's interesting that we're trying to put that Jesus gloss on it, like, whoa, he sounds so mature. I agree, he does sound very mature. But if a man said, oh, well, she was young, but no, she's more mature than some 40-year-olds, you'd eat the person up. And there's a reason. There's a reason. So I'm just saying, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a trill. Let's keep it 100. Let's not pretend and put some Jesus gloss on it. Let's not try and make it, you know, let's not try to make it more than what it actually is. Like, call a thing a thing. Do you know what I'm saying to you? And if you are biased, that's why sometimes I say to you, listen, sometimes I'm biased. I'll be honest with you. Like I said, this situation, I'm actually biased because I can't even call her out properly because part of me's got a double standard. And I'm not going to pretend and be like, oh my God, I'm going to call her out. I'm like, no, me personally, I'm going to be honest with you. I've got a double standard here. I'm struggling to call her out the way that I would call a man out. I'm being double standards here. I've been saying it from the very beginning. Like, I honestly have to hold myself accountable and say, I'm struggling to call her out because if it was a man, the way I would call this out would be completely differently. I'm even being really soft. Do you know what I mean? I'm even being a little bit soft with her because really and truly, I should go in. Because you saw this boy at 15. You were liking it from her own words. She was liking him from 17 and she would have been 23. I should really go in. You see what I'm saying to you? So I really should go in, but because I have a bias towards that, I don't see women as dangerous as a man in this situation. I'm actually giving it more grace than I really would give a man. I have to be real with it. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So again, I'm not asking him to divorce or anything like that, but you know, I want to be real with you. You know, there's definitely going to be some power dynamics. But anyway, that's me done, baby. You get me? So it is what it is. Next time y'all come for my neck, just know I have the receipts always. Okay, I come locked and loaded. Okay, locked and loaded. Yeah. I mean, listen, I got to be honest with you. No matter how much we put G's on it, it is given predatory, and that's just an honest situation. It is given predatory. Yeah, that it is given predatory, and that's the honest, real situation. And absolutely T. You're not lying, you know, and you're absolutely right again. This double standard is wrong, and that men, and it actually is very, very true. And it's why we can't believe men. It's absolutely true, and that's coming from me. I'm telling you, that's my short-sighted. That's my double standard playing. That's my bias playing through. Because yes, when it was Marcus Houston, I was blazing him. I was cussing. I was like, what the fuck? But man was like, the girl was like 15 when you met her, bro. Like 17 when you started dating, or 18 when you started dating her. Like, I was on Marcus Houston's ass. So, you know, it is predatory. You know what I mean? And it is giving grooming. It is given that. You know what I mean? But I wish him the well, and I wish him all the best. You know what I mean? I wish him the best. And we should pray for them. You know what I mean? But the reality of the situation is it is given the predatory and the grooming. Anyway, you know, I wanna like, share, subscribe, you know what I mean, and we're gone. You know, guys, we wish you the best, and we'll be back soon, a little bit later on, but I wanna go out and do something with a couple of people. Oh, someone asked that. You know. Okay. I hear that. All right, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you. We appreciate you. Stay locked, stay loaded.